Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. Demolisher TV. I hope that you guys are doing well and are doing wonderful and are excited to be here in the room. I am Sophia Melonē, the Debt Demolisher, here to bring you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you manage your financial baggage the right way. Welcome to tonight's live stream where we are diving all the way into what does financial fasting entail. So for those of you who are familiar with the Debt Demolisher TV, you've been following the community page, you've been seeing the alerts, you guys know that we are jumping into Michelle Singletary's book, 21-Day Financial Fast. Shout out to the family that is here on Clubhouse. We're streaming on live on YouTube as well, so you can also see the link that is inside of the Clubhouse for you to feel free to check it out, jump in. But we are going deep diving into day one of the financial fast. So I have to tell you guys, before we jump into this, I really wanted to share a little bit of some of my experiences and how there was a lot of revelation that pretty much occurred throughout this process of me starting to read this book. So this is my first time ever reading this Michelle Singletary's 21-Day Financial Fast book. It was actually introduced to me by one of the elders at my church. So shout out to Elder Aaron Jenkins for telling me about this book. And I picked it up. He told me, I think he told me about it last year, and I picked it up and I ordered it. And I said, you know what? This is going to be something great to do with the community and do it together. So I've never read it, and I saved this time to read it with you all, and we do this work and we do this thing together. So one of the things that I posted on the community page earlier this morning was to get everyone acclimated with what we were going to be covering and what your reading assignments were. So the reading assignments for today was to at least start out by reading the opening chapter, which is Prosperity on Purpose. By the way, I love that title in and of itself, because y'all know I always say your financial prosperity awaits you. So prosperity is in there. And then another thing that I always say is have a great day on purpose. So with intentionality. And so hearing or reading the piece where she's talking about prosperity on purpose, that thing kind of got me excited. I said, okay, that thing got me kind of really excited. Now I was reading through the opening chapter, and what I really appreciated about the opening chapter was that it was very easy to read, but it kind of stung a little bit. So I'll tell you all what I did. I started out by reading the Prosperity on Purpose section of the book, and immediately after that, I did a journaling exercise, because one of the things that I'm very intentional about is when I am doing anything that's of this nature, I naturally journal anyway. So I have a lot of journals. I have a lot of books. I have my own Your Financial Prosperity Awaits You, my financial prosperity journal, which is actually not on the site right now. It's not on my website right now because I have a thing that's coming up, which I'm going to talk to you guys about. But nonetheless, I have my journal here, and I said, I want to use this time to journal about my process and just not only just have prayers, like, written prayers, but just really think through how is this experience going for me. And so when I read the opening chapter this morning, I had my journaling exercise and my journaling prayer. And I'm contemplating if I want to share. A part of me feels like I want to keep it private for right now, but maybe in a couple of days, you never know how the Lord may lead me. I may end up reading one of the journal entries. But for this piece, I said that I knew that I wanted to have a journal. I already circle, highlight, write inside of my books anyway. I write in the margins, I underline, I star, I fold pages. That's just how I am when I'm reading. That's why I'm a very touchy person. I love physical books because I want to be able to just read through it, reflect on it, highlight. Things come to me a lot in that way. So I'm reading through the opening chapter and I'm like, wow, this is going to be so powerful. And there were already some things, and I put one out as the morning quote, the morning inspiration quote, where it talked about the real measure of your net worth. And I can't remember verbatim, but it was a quote specifically out of this book. And I quoted it by her, Michelle Singletary. And I said, wow, like that was really good. And let me see if I can, it's circled in the book. So I'm just going to read it. Real net worth is created by hard work, delayed gratification, and financial education. So what I took from this quote and why it stuck out to me is because sometimes people go through this state, or they want to go through this state of improving their finances, and they want this dream, or they want this desire of wanting to just have freedom in their finances. They want to be able to live the lives that they want to live without any financial restraints, but not taking into consideration that it's going to take effort on your part. And if you're familiar with the channel, and if you're watching, if you're new to the channel, if you're new to the Clubhouse room, one of the things that I always say is that if you want something, it's going to require a level of effort on your part. This reminds me of something that my economics instructor or my economics professor would say back when I was in undergraduate school, is that there's no such thing as free lunch. So what I took that to mean is that anything you want is going to require something from you, whether it be monetary or it be energetically. So you have to have a level of intention to really want to get into that space of putting in the work to get what you want. The next piece in Michelle Singletary's quote that stuck out to me was the delayed gratification piece. And this is something that hinders a lot of folks in spending, because this is where the impulse comes into play. So the opposite of delayed gratification is impulse. A lot of times we spend out of impulse, we spend out of emotion, we spend out of because we want it right now, or we feel like we deserve it right now. So that is what we end up doing. That is what we end up continuing to do. And that is the emotion that we continuously feed. And this is why it can be so challenging to delay gratification. And I truly believe that going through this process of putting ourselves on a financial fast is really going to challenge this level within us, because the delayed gratification piece is the indication of how we respond behavioral wise. So one of the things that I always say is that your financial choices, your financial decisions, your financial moves that you make are all designed around your behavior. So if you can't control your behavior, 9 times out of 10, you won't be able to fully control, or better yet, sustain the wealth that you're trying to grow, the money that you're earning, the income that you're getting, because you haven't learned how to really manage maybe even some of your internal fears, your internal traumas, your internal disappointments that led to the money decisions that you make today. Okay. So I'm just speaking from this based on my experience. I'm speaking from this based on what I know. I'm speaking on this based on even sometimes client conversations that I have. So not fully yet reading the book, but really sharing with you guys how I'm interpreting what I'm reading inside of this book so far. And then the last piece that she talks about of what it's going to take to get your real net worth is financial education. And y'all know without a shadow of a doubt that this is what this entire channel is all about. I'm a financial educator, a certified financial education instructor, and I love to teach in this area, not just about the basics around personal finance, but also the emotional side to it. But if we don't have the education that we need, then we won't be able to make better choices around our finances. So if you can put yourself in a space to be able to allow yourself to learn what it is that you need to learn, that's the first step. Allow yourself to be exposed to a different source of information that may be outside of what you've learned or what you've picked up as a result of growing up in your environment, and allowing something new to be implemented and planted in your heart, in your mind, in your being, so that you can begin to execute. One thing I always say, I'm here to teach, I'm here to educate, I'm here to share information, but it's your job to apply. So the piece that I'm going to add on to what Michelle Singletary is saying is also not just the financial education, but the application of it. Because knowledge is power, yes, but knowledge without application is null and void. So if you're getting information, if you're getting education, if you're getting awareness, if you're getting strategy, it's your job to implement it and test it for yourself to see how it works for you. So reading through the opening paragraph or the opening chapter, Prosperity on Purpose, there were a lot of things that I highlighted. There were a lot of things that I wrote down. There were a lot of things that I circled, but I really wanted to talk about what financial fasting is. And before we do that, let me pop out the chat so I can see who's in the building, because y'all know I love to send my family some love. Shout out to the folks on Clubhouse. Tajiri is in the building. So good to see you. Andrew's in the building. Sharon is in the building. So good to see you all. Thank you for being in the Clubhouse room. Over on the Debt Demolisher TV on YouTube, we got Coach Harut is in the building. Tracy Ann is in the building saying hello, good evening to everyone, and saying hey to Coach Harut. Y'all giving each other love, saying hi to one another. Tracy Ann says, I read the opening and chapter 1. Let's go. She's already into her work. She's doing the work. And I'm glad you did, because we're going to be discussing more about chapter 1. So I'm glad that you got started on it. We're going to be discussing a little bit more on it, and then we'll jump into really executing on the exercises between tonight and tomorrow, and then you'll get your next reading assignment for tomorrow. Lisa H is in the building saying greetings to everyone. All right. Q Scott is in the building saying, hey, Q Scott. Coach Harut saying that she's on chapter 3. So far, so good. Okay, Coach Harut is already on chapter 3. That's what I love to hear. So that means Coach Harut got the juice. She got the gems. So she's already ahead of the game. So I love it. I love it. I love it. No early telling, Coach Harut. No early telling. Tracy Ann is saying, I thought you read it, Sophia. Some of the things in the opening remind me of the things you said. Hello. Let me tell you something. Let me pause right there, because I'm going to tell y'all what dropped in my spirit. As I was reading this, I said the same thing. I be saying the same thing. I almost like word for word, Tracy Ann. And I said, I know. And when I tell you, I've never heard of this book. I never read this book. When I found out about this book, the elder at my church told me about it. And I ordered it. It came in the mail, and I haven't picked it up until I decided, while I was designing my curriculum, designing my production schedule for the channel, I said, we're going to do this together in February. So I'm reading this along with you guys. And so Tracy Ann, for you to say that you were reading it, and some of the things as you were reading it, it reminded you of me. It's funny, because I thought the same thing. And I said, I know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, that I'm gifted and anointed with this type of work, because these were things like some of the things that she's read, and there were even some things that I felt challenged on. And we're going to talk about this in the first chapter, day 1. But most of the stuff, I was like, wow, like I'm already doing that. I'm already teaching that. I'm already saying that. And it just goes to show you that this information is everywhere. This goes to show you that this isn't something that is hard for anyone else to pick up. Because if some of the words that I've said are almost verbatim to the words that she's written in this book, and I've never read it, I've never seen it, it's just powerful. So yeah, I definitely said the same thing, Tracy Ann. When I read it, I said, oh, I said, okay, somebody must be anointed and appointed to deliver this word too. Come on now. Q Scott saying playing catch up. I'm going to try to see if I can get the Audible download. Yeah, take your time. Take your time. Take your time. Sherry's in the building saying, hey, y'all. And yes, Coach Root saying that chapter 1 got me too. Then I had to keep reading. I got the book on Kindle and it doesn't have the pics, so I couldn't see her sample budget examples. So yeah, that's the golden piece about having the physical book. I think there are some appendices that she has. She has some tables and stuff like that in the back. So when you get the physical book, I think it will be helpful. And like I said, I haven't looked through all of it, but she has like budget templates and stuff like that in here as well. And a spend journal. She got a spend journal in here. And I'm gonna tell y'all, we did the 31 days to purpose with Tony Gaskins. I did it 31 days. I did it for the entire month of December. And one of the things, and this is where the spirit of procrastination comes into play, because I wrote this. I'm planning to create a spend journal, and I wrote it in the back of this book. Y'all, you probably can't see it, but I wrote it, the whole outline, in the back of this book while actually doing the 31 days to purpose. So one of my projects, once I finish the current projects that I'm currently working on, is to create my spend journal. And so as I was reading through the opening chapter and I was reading through the first chapter and some of the recommended things that she said that you should have, I was like, I should have made my spend journal. I should have made my spend journal, but it's all right. Everything will come in due timing and it'll be created and published and released when it's supposed to be. But this just goes to show the alignment of everything, because there are things that I have in my vision for me to create, things that just came out of the blue as a result of me doing this 31 days to purpose. Things of me saying, okay, I'm going to track my spending every day. I've already been tracking my spending every day since the beginning of this year. And I'm reporting out to you all in 7-day intervals. So to see these opening chapters and reading some of the concepts and reading some of the things that she has in the book, it's like I've already said it, or I'm thinking of it, or it's in the pipeline to be created. So it just feels like confirmation to me. If I do say so myself, it just feels like confirmation. All right. So now let's go ahead and read a little bit more, and then we're going to jump back in. I won't, but I already tested it with someone asking to borrow money. Answer was no, and I didn't feel guilty. Amen. It wasn't even a family member, but was definitely led by God not to enable. Amen. We got to stop that spirit of enabling as well, because sometimes us natural givers, it can be very hard for us to give in to other people's requests. So I want to salute you already for saying no, putting that no muscle in place and letting people know that, yeah, I can't help you. I can't help you today. Q Scott saying, okay, that's okay. There's room for more than one. For those who know you will know about yours, and for those who know her will get hers. Amen. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that as well. I truly believe that as well. Amen. I can't buy the physical book now for at least 21 days. That's right. That's right. You can't spend for another 21 days. So let's go ahead and get started. And I want to share one of the things that really stuck out to me when she talked about, and I'm going to refer to one of the pages, and this talks about compulsion. So compulsiveness versus stewardship. If you give yourself a guide, if you give yourself a challenge, I want you to know that the temptation is going to rise. And there's going to be times where you're going to feel like you're going to have this impulse. You're going to want to buy on compulsiveness or under compulsiveness. You're going to want to spend because you feel like you need it. You're going to spend because you're going to be tempted in so many regards, especially if you're stepping into this fast. So one of the things that she said off the break was that this was going to be a challenge. So this is not going to be easy, because whenever we set our mind to something, we always know that an obstacle is going to set forth and try to present itself to hinder you along the way. So Shawnee is in the building saying, hey, I made it. So glad that you made it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad that you're here. And when I thought about the compulsiveness, I even said the same thing. I started to say, I feel like I have a pretty good handle on some of my spending, but I do know that I could spend when I don't really have to. And I could say maybe my compulsion can come from Amazon. So you all know, even though I have a budget for personal development, I am constantly buying books, buying more books than I have time to read. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to challenge myself on, even though it's a good thing. But is it a need that I need right now? Is it a necessity right now? So I'll share with you this real quick. As I read through and I journaled this morning in response to reading Prosperity on Purpose, that was the first thing that I questioned, that I wrote down, and I questioned myself. I said, I have to ask myself, and I need to journal my response to, what am I about to buy? So when you are faced with a buying decision, when you are faced with having to purchase something, what is the conversation that you're telling yourself to help vet that purchase? That goes back to the Vet Your Spending Challenge that we did back in November. What are you telling yourself to help challenge you a little bit about whether or not if you should make this purchase or not? So just because you have room in a budget doesn't necessarily mean that you have to spend the line item in that budget. And I have to tell you, by reading just that opening paragraph, that is what challenged me. I had to write down, okay, now I need to start asking myself, what am I about to buy? And when I asked myself, what am I about to buy? Why am I about to buy it? And there were a series of questions that I wrote out in my journal, and it really prompted a new level of questioning for me. So some of you may be familiar with the spending assessment tool that I shared for those of you who were registered with the Vet Your Spending Challenge. I shared there was a couple of questions, or it was a 10-step process to help you vet your purchases before and after. But now I feel like there were a new level of questions that came forth just by me reading the opening paragraph and me challenging myself a little bit differently to say, wait, yeah, I may have budgeted amounts. Yeah, I may have things where I have limited amounts, or I would like to spend in this area, or I'm just setting a placeholder just because. Sometimes I find myself spending just because that placeholder is there, even though that placeholder may be limited. So I said to myself that the book buying, the Amazon purchasing, I'm really going to have to scale that back a little bit. And when I say scale that back, I mean scale it from an analytical perspective, meaning questioning it a little bit more before I check out. So, and this was an experiment that I did not too long ago as well. I would add things in the cart, and then I would leave it in the cart and then decide on it later. And then the next thing you know, I would come back and it will be something that I would really need to buy. And I'll see the items in my cart, and then I'll end up moving it down to save for later. So what that showed me, even thinking about that process or thinking about that step, was that the things that I had initially put in the cart, I didn't really need, which was why when it was something that I really needed, I moved it out of the cart to say, I'll table this for later and let me just get what I need. So sometimes we want to challenge those things and see how many times do we put things in our cart? How many times, or can we put like a process in place to add it in the cart, but then don't even go to it? or let it sit for 2 or 3 days and then make a decision about it later, because 9 times out of 10, you may not even need it or want it anymore. And now I don't know what's going to come about in this book. I don't know what kind of questions that we're going to be asked. I don't know what kind of challenges we're going to be faced with. Who knows? But just sharing that as we go along. All right. So that's what came up for me for day one. I really came up with a new set of questions to ask myself for those things that are already inside of my budget. Next level. Next level. Okay. All right. So let's jump into a little bit of what a financial fast entails. And I'm going to read some of this from the book just so that I can share with you all what really stuck for me. So she talks about what a financial fast is, and I'm reading from 28 if you guys have your book and you're reading along. The second or the third paragraph on page 28, she basically says that the principle of this financial fast is to deny your flesh so that you can become closer to God instead of relying on an emotional rush from shopping or pursuing the latest sale or discount. This fast will connect you to God. The rush you get from this fast is far better than snagging a pair of designer shoes on sale or upgrading to the latest technology, the latest electronic gadget. Fasting is an act of separating yourself from the worldly pleasures. During the separation and away from worldly temptation, you can begin to break the bonds that keep you broke. Now, I thought her definition and overview of what a financial fast entailed was powerful, because it's not just about us not spending to save. It's about us being mindful of the choices that we are faced with and allowing ourselves to challenge ourselves to be connected to the higher source and really pulling on the connection to God versus what it is that you want to buy. So as I've said before, a lot of our spending is based on emotion. A lot of our spending is based on hype. A lot of our spending is based on, I want to be in with the Joneses. A lot of our spending is sometimes out of guilt. A lot of our spending is sometimes out of insecurity. So how can we challenge ourselves in those instances and in those areas where we feel like I need to get this thing, or I want to buy this thing, or I don't feel like cooking, so I'm going to take the easy way out to then divert that attention, divert that urge to draw on God and invite him in to help you with guiding you during your financial decision-making process. Because essentially, that's what we're challenging. Essentially, that's what we're building. Essentially, that's what we are trying to curate: a healthier, strong financial making or financial decision-making process. So if you aren't allowing yourself to put yourself in a space to be challenged a little bit and not just given to your desires, not just given to your wants, not just given to what it is you feel like you deserve in the moment, and taking yourself from your flesh and tapping more into the spirit realm, I think that's where the transformation is going to happen. So I want to challenge you, if you feel like you have pushes with spending, if you feel like you're being enticed to spend, if you feel like you have to spend out of convenience, if you feel like you have to spend out of support, I want to challenge you to really tap into your core reason as to why you want to do that. And when you go through this fast, or when you go through this challenge, is designed to help us tap into our internal side of things. And the bonus part would be to possibly saving up some money. So another thing that she mentioned in here is talking about, well, what is essential? Like, what am I supposed to figure out what I need? How am I supposed to know what my need is? Because our needs will vary. Our needs will not be the same. So something that I would probably have to spend money on and purchase, you might not have to. And you might see that as an unnecessary purchase. But for me and my household, or for me and my mother, it's a very necessary purchase. So you have to be able to identify what is essential and what's necessary. And that's another thing that I wrote down in the journal. I said, the first thing is you got to be able to know, well, what is an essential expense? Where did I write that down at? You want to determine if it's necessary. So how will you determine if the purchase is necessary for you? So this is going to be the space and the time where you can really be able to design your rubric, design what are essentials to you, but using some of the examples that she put into the book to help guide us along the way. One of the things she talked about is eliminating our need to browse. So online shopping, window shopping, browser shopping, whatever you want to call it, because browsing leads to temptation. And she said that on page 29 of the book, browsing leads to temptation. And I firmly and truly agree with that. It really does. So how often are you browsing? How often are you window shopping? How often are you hopping on Amazon and just scrolling to see what you can find? How often are you scrolling on Instagram and seeing a sponsored ad or seeing some type of ad and you click and buy? How many times are you being maybe urged to check out a website and see what kind of sales are going on, and you're just browsing just to see what they have, and then all of a sudden you end up buying? That's true. So I think we should really focus our energy on minimizing our need to browse, be more intentional with our time. So if we're more intentional with our time, that will give us less opportunities to be faced with temptation as a result of browsing, browsing or window shopping, or just going around to say, oh, let me stop in this store. If we are intentional with our days, if we are intentional with our hours, if we are intentional with our schedules, browsing won't be on the calendar block. Window shopping won't be on the calendar block. So what Michelle Singletary is saying is that we got to put a limit on that, and we only have to purchase necessities. And she's saying groceries and transportation, and what else did she say? And medicine. That's what I heard she said. Food and medicine, and then transportation if you need to get around. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about some conviction that I had, but let me check in and see how y'all are doing over here in the comments. All right, I see Q Scott is saying value add. Is it a need or is it a want? Absolutely. You're right, Sophia. Mostly it's a want. Yep, leave it in your cart for 24 hours. Those are some of the tips I learned from your veteran spending challenge, and I use them often. Amen, Q Scott. Whoop, whoop. Sherry said that she spoke at First Baptist Church of Glen. Yes, that is her home church. So that's her home church, First Baptist Church of Glen, down here in Maryland, PG County, Maryland. Tracy Ann says the story of her BFF Juanita really inspired me on using what you have before buying more. How organized her life was. Come on, yes, that convicted my spirit too. My goodness, I felt like a hoarder when she said that she was talking about her apartment. That is so true. I was like, wow. When I read that part too, I started looking around. I said, I got some papers over here. I got some stuff over here. I got some books over here. I probably need to get a little bit more organized, and I probably need to have like this is where you need to go. This is where you need to look, as opposed to having it somewhere where they won't even know where to go to find it. So very, very true. That resonated a lot with me as well. And I'm pretty sure that took some time to do, to get to that level of detail. So that just goes to show that there's going to be patience and it's not only going to be patience, it's also going to be a process that we're going to have to make sure that we are willing to put ourselves through to get to that level of organization, if that's what we truly want. But yeah, and that tapped back into what I was talking about, the estate planning. She didn't know she was going to pass away at 50 something years old, but her stuff was in order, and her friends knew exactly, they knew exactly where to go because she left instructions. And that's what I was talking about. Estate planning is a part of you leaving instructions. But the key part is having the people who still alive know where to find your stuff. So they know where to find the instructions, so they know where to go. So that's another part. And that's a part of the organization inside of the home. So I agree with that. Absolutely. It's on YouTube. I haven't watched it yet. I think the title is, Are You Serving God or Debt? Ooh, I got to look at that because I did not see that. I'm pretty sure I got to look at that for sure. All right. Acacia's in the building saying greetings. So good to see you, Acacia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Coach Root saying, I like the conversation she had on page 26. That's me having a dialogue with myself. Let's see what happened on page 26. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another one. That's another one that convicted my spirit about the food piece. And that ties to the Budget Savvy Basics for Foodies course that I'm putting out. And I said, it's so crazy that a lot of the things that people are struggling or challenged with that causes them to spend the most, there's a cure for. There's a guide for. There is a process for. But do we allow ourselves to tap into that process? Do we allow ourselves to get access to that process? So yeah, I'm telling you, that's why I do my snack bags. That's why because I'm learning that if you want to be able to save on spending out, you got to plan. And you have to plan based on the groceries that you purchase. And there are ways that you can strategically design how you are buying and when you're buying so that you can minimize your grocery costs, but have all of your stuff prepackaged, have all of your stuff ready. So all you have to do is just minimize the prep time, pull out your pre-seasoned meat, pull out your pre-seasoned stuff, let it thaw, drop it in the skillet, let it cook, and you'll be done in 20 or 30 minutes, as opposed to having to maybe take an hour or so to do it. So that was another one where the script that Coach Root is talking about is one of the participants in the challenge that was having a dialogue with herself around what to eat and not wanting to cook and basically wanting to do it out of convenience. So, but she had to check herself and realize, okay, wait, I got to do something in the house. I got to cook from what I've already have. So yes, absolutely. I love that. So can we talk about this real quick before we wrap up for tonight? I want to talk to you guys about the piece that really convicted me. And I feel like the Lord was using this chapter, which is day 1. I'm reading on page 30. So page 30 to 32 served as a personal conviction to me, because I was talking to you all yesterday about how I still use my credit cards and I strategically use it because it's inside my budget. So I'm not really overspending because I've already accounted for it. But Michelle Singletary kind of checked me just a little bit on these pages. And so I want to read a little bit about that piece. So she says that paying with plastic just makes purchasing too easy, which I agree. I do agree to that. It does. Plastic does not allow for that deliberation, meaning for you to be able to have a mental calculation or a mental accounting of what you're actually paying or what you're paying down. Because when you pay cash, you can feel it more because you're putting all the dollars down on the table, as opposed to you swiping a card and then seeing the balance later. It may not necessarily have that same level of impact. Okay, I get it. Then we go to page 21, and page 31. And she says, after all, you have to admire the marketing might of credit card users. They have done a stellar job in persuading otherwise smart people that using plastic can come with no price. This group of convenience credit card users is convinced that they are pulling one over on the credit card companies. They point to the rewards they receive or the fact that they never or seldom pay credit card interest. But I assure you, there is a cost. You may be able to bear it, but there is an extra cost to using credit cards. So I just talked to y'all about how I haven't paid interest on my credit card since 2017. So I feel like she came for me right here on this page. I'm just going to be honest. I feel like she came for me here on this page. And then she said, when you use credit, you often spend more than you would if you use cash. And one of the things that I wrote in the margin was, how am I spending more if the charge is already in my budget? So remember, I'm having these conversations, but I'm putting my questions inside of the margins of these books. And then boom, the answer comes. Credit cards reduces the pain of payment because we don't do the same mental accounting as we do when we pay with cash. So she's basically saying that researchers have found that people have a willingness to pay more when they use plastic as opposed to cash. And then another thing is, she mentioned about how sometimes people use the excuse of, oh, I have a business, so I have to use my credit card, or oh, I have a business, so I have to use plastic. So she's saying that generally, when we go through this fast space, it's really just for the personal side. So not necessarily the business side, but she's challenging us at the same time to incorporate, if we can, the fast on the business side as well. So one of the questions that I wrote down as a result of that is, I'm going to begin to challenge my business purchases by asking myself the question, well, how will this purchase make me money? So it's the same as, how soon can I get a return on investment as a result of me making this transaction, if it's business related? So now I'm thinking of both sides, challenging my spending on the personal side, even though it's already within my budget, and then challenging the purchases that I'm making on the business side to see how is it actually generating a return on investment. And this is where a lot of times new entrepreneurs and business owners, we get into this space where we're constantly operating from a loss, because we're spending with the notion thinking that we need to make these expenses in order to generate income, but not really assessing whether or not that expense that we're making is actually producing the income that we need. So this was a checkpoint for me. This was something that really made me think twice, like, okay, I need to really scale down a little bit more. And when I say scale down, I mean scrutinize, analyze, question to a whole nother level to make me think differently about the purchases that I've already been making, because I feel like I've already justified them. So now I need to challenge what I've already justified. Okay. Now I need to challenge what I've already justified. So that's what I wrote down for that. And then they talked a lot about, using plastic and stuff like that. I'm not going to give it all away. So those of you who have the book, you should have read the day one, as well as the Prosperity on Purpose, if you have not done so already. But I did want to point out some of the things that we can do to help us successfully move in this fast, which she points out on page 36. And before we do that, I want to see if there's any questions. If anyone has any questions, either on the Clubhouse side or here on the live stream on the Debt Demolisher TV. And let's see what we got. All right. Tracy Ann is saying, I must say I don't browse anymore because I have to go out of my way, and I don't buy online because I have to try stuff on. But when I do go in the store, I have to seriously focus. Amen. And that means planning before you go in, having an intention before you go in. And this is when you have to make necessary purchases, So that's good, especially since we're on this 21-day fast. Acacia saying, oh no, I have some things I can use before buying more. Yes, use up what you have. In the foodies course, I even do this exercise with those of you who are registered for the foodies course, or you're going to be getting it soon. It's coming out this week. Don't worry. It's coming out this week. And I have you all go through this inventory process of using what you have, looking to see what you already have, create your menus from what you already have, and then get some inspiration to see, well, what else can you do? What else can you make? So that we won't be continuing to put stuff or make food go to waste because we have not used it or we don't have a desire for it anymore. And then we feel like, oh, well, let me just go and buy a whole nother set of groceries. And then next thing you know, you're throwing away all this food. So use what's in your hands. That's the same thing, similar to the conversation we had yesterday. Use what's in your hand. So use what's in your house before you buy more. Use it up. The same thing that they do in the stores. When they stock the shelves in the stores, they don't put the new stuff in front of the stuff that was already back there. They pull it to the front. They pull it to the front so that when you're in the store, you can pull that item that has been on the shelf for the longest. Come on, because they don't want to lose out on those items not being sold. So take the same approach. Use up what you have before you restock your shelves. Use up what you have before you replenish your cabinets. Use what you have before you fill up your refrigerator again. And make sure that you're buying in proportion to what you need so it doesn't go to waste. And that's another thing that I talk about in the Budget Savvy Basics for Foodies course, sharing all the tips and the jewels on that. So good stuff. Juanita kept a kudos binder too. Yes. That's just like that binder that I was telling y'all about. And actually that idea came from another coaching program that I was in, Patrice Washington. She had us put our brag binder together, and my brag binder together has the kudos stuff in there. So for sure. So that just gave me the idea too, to have like a physical sheet visible. Like even if I have like the personal stuff secured and locked up somewhere, I should at least have something that somebody could find so they can know where to go. And I can honestly say that that is what I did not have, like in a physical place where somebody could find it. So that challenged me to put it somewhere so at least they'll know where to go to find what they need, get what they need. Good. Sophia, you said just the other day how you pay off your credit card every month with no interest to get points. So much reminded me of your talks. Yeah, I was just saying that. She talked to me. She convicted me. I said, okay, I'm going to try it. Now, I've tried to do cash only before when I first started my debt freedom journey, but it didn't work for me. But we're in a new season. That was 6 years ago. And I want to be honorable to this fast. And I want to try it. And so if it's no spending on credit, no plastic, then no plastic. No plastic. We're going to try. We're going to see how that goes. Okay. Acacia saying that's good. Oh, that's good. Tip for the business side. Return on investment. Absolutely. ROI. Still waiting for my copy to arrive at the store. All right. No problem. You'll get it soon, Sherry. Q Scott said, I just did that today. I tend to operate that way as well, i.e. item, special condiment bought. I see the multiple meals I can make with it during that shopping trip for menu prep. Absolutely. Good. All right. So let's jump into what are some of the tips that she mentions about what could help us be successful during this fast. First thing is we got to focus on identifying what our primary expenses are. And so when you outline your primary expenses, which you should already have because y'all should be having y'all budgets, and we haven't been doing these budget with me lives for no reason now. So you should at least have a listing of all of your expenses, and you could use what you've been able to build to highlight what your primary expenses are. And your primary expenses are your necessary expenses and those things that you must pay. And then you want to drill down a little bit further to identify, well, is this something that I can do without? So is this a bare necessity? So your primary expenses could be your core necessities, but your bare necessities is like your bare minimums. So basically what Michelle Singletary is saying is that we should limit our spending to only our bare necessities. What do you need to survive type necessities, right? So what do you need to survive? So if we can focus on making that list first, identifying that, I think that will be exceptional for us to do as our first growth work assignment. Oh, look, I'm using my own stuff. She doesn't say growth work assignment. I say growth work assignment, but my words are just coming in. But nonetheless, for our first assignment related to this challenge. So she talks about some of the 5 fasting tips, and she says, what? Get a journal. I'm reading from page 36, if those of you are reading along as well. Get a journal. And what did I say was the first thing I did before I even got to that page, before I even got to day 1? I pulled my journal out and I said I was going to use my journal as a part of this process. So boom, I got my journal. What does she say? Review your progress after the fast is over. Review your journal and your notes to see what growth or insights you've been able to have. We haven't gotten that far. Once we get to the end, y'all know that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reflect. And then she says, get a highlighter. What else do you see? I have 3 different highlighters because I have color coordination. So depending on what point it is, I highlighted a different color. So I have 3 highlighters. So I'm already set there. The next thing that she says is get an accountability partner. And that is the sole purpose, the sole reason why I invited you all for us to do this together, so that we can hold each other accountable, so that we can do this thing with others and we're not doing it alone, so that we can back out or fall off or not really stick to this challenge. So I already had accountability in mind. That's one of the tips. And we're going to be doing this every day together so that we can check in, so that we can get the lessons, and so that we can apply what it is that we're supposed to apply as it relates to the assignment. So boom, we covered. The last thing she says is start each day with a pay regimen. So it's basically prayer, acting on a pledge, and yielding to God. So before I even started again, before I even read this, I said a prayer. Before I even got to this page, I said a prayer because I set my intentions. And the second piece says to act on a pledge. For those of you who have ever worked with me, coached with me, participated in the Vet Your Spending Challenge with me, has been involved in any of my courses or any of my programs, you know that I utilize a pledge. So I give my clients pledges. I give them custom pledges. I give them an opportunity to adjust their pledge if they would like to. And I allow it to make it something that they can commit to. And what do I always ask you to do? Sign it and send me evidence that you've signed it and printed it out and put it somewhere visible that you can see every day so that you can reflect on it. So what she's saying, the A in the pay regimen is act on the pledge that's listed at the start of the chapter. So she had a pledge at the beginning of this chapter that talked about what you were promised to do. And I think it's also at the end of the chapter. I'm just going to read the one from the back once we get to the daily assignment. But yes, she says, take this pledge and then sign your name on the line below. Pledges are powerful because it's your commitment. Pledges are powerful because it's your commitment. So now I got a new pledge that I got to take in addition to the pledge that I already take every day. But I'm okay with that because I'm trusting this process because we're doing this together. I'm not going to divert because of my own way of doing things. I want to try this out and I want to see how it works. And I want to see how we are able to kind of get some type of understanding, revelation, movement, breakthrough, whatever it is, together collectively as a unit. And then the last one is the why. Yield to God's will and not your own. And I feel like this piece is the perfect, not only scripture, but closing sentence in the book to close out tonight's live stream on. She mentions the Psalm 25:9, which says, he guides the humble in what is right and teaches them his way. So that's Psalm 25:9. And then she says, yielding is very important. You won't make it through this fast without surrendering yourself to the will of God. Trust that he will help you become a better steward over your money. Believe in your heart that God wants you to prosper. So I feel like that is powerful, 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 powerful. Understanding that this is a faith walk as well as a challenge. And I really believe that we're going to grow together through this thing. I've already been convicted from day one because I got to stop using my credit card, even though I get my points, even though I have it in the budget. I'm going to now take that placeholder that was in the budget and just pull the cash out for it and go and buy my purchases. So that's just what I'm going to have to do. And for me, it's not just because some things are like auto pay. I mean, like physically going to the store to buy things. So physically going to the store to buy things, I have to pay with cash. I'm not going to swipe my credit cards. I'm not going to use my credit cards. I'm not going to shop, and I'm not going to shop online or any of that. So some stuff is already set up on auto pay. So I'm not going to stop that because it has to be paid, but I will take a second look at it and challenge it just a little bit more if there is something that is that may not be essential. So that's what I'm doing. And the assignment for today is that she really wants us to focus on listing any obstacles that may come in our way that could prevent us from sticking to this fast. So if you're just tuning in and you don't have your book yet, I want to challenge you, based on the conversations that we've had, to just begin to list those obstacles that you know that may come up. And when your book arrives and you actually read the chapter, you may get some new revelations, but at least you're able to start while we are doing this and while we're live together, and since you're here in the room. So begin to make a list of any potential obstacles that may prevent you from sticking to the fast. And then you got to decide how you're going to eradicate it, how you're going to overcome it, how you're going to eliminate it, how are you going to press through it. That's the same thing that I teach in the financial goal setting course. I talk about identifying the obstacles that's going to get in the way of getting to your goal. This is no different. This is no different. If your goal is to stick to this challenge, a goal is a goal. So if your goal is to get through this fast, a goal is a goal. An obstacle is going to come along the way. So how are you going to overcome it? How are you going to overcome it? All right. So she talks about that, and then doing your pledge. So your assignment is to identify your obstacles, figure out, map out, identify how you're going to overcome it, eliminate it, push through it, eradicate it, and then do your pledge, print the pledge. I promise to follow the 21-day financial fast so that I may put myself on the path to prosperity and financial freedom. So I'm starting right now. I'm starting right now. And you can too. You can start right now. Super excited to have you guys in the room. Let me know if you had any revelations, any takeaways. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Let's go ahead and put that in the chat so I can uplift you all on tonight, because I truly and firmly believe that there's going to be a major financial transformation for everyone that's involved in doing this fast together. I want to remind us to pray before each reading. I want to remind us to pray before each journal entry. I want to remind us to pray before each live stream, before we come in and do these discussions, and just really invite the Spirit to allow you to be convicted in whatever it is you need to be convicted in, so that you can do what you need to do to allow yourself to be successful in this fast for the next 21 days, so that it can be the ultimate reward for your financial future. All right. I see Tracy Ann is saying cash is my first option. It's easier for me to monitor. I wish it was easier for me to monitor. When I was trying to do the envelope system, I said, I can't walk around with no cash. I can't walk around with no cash. I think too, I was paranoid too, like not wanting, get stuck up or lose an envelope, or, because I live in DC. Okay. So you just never know. Somebody might come at you. So I don't do cash, but we're going to see how this works. And this is really going to be a stretch for me because I don't like to walk with cash. And so it'll probably mean that I won't get the cash until I have to go and spend. And if I have to go and spend, that means I'm going straight to the store to get what I need. And it's going to be for a very little amount so that I can really stay within budget. All right. So Tracy Ann says that I signed my pledge and did my first journal entry. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. I'm going to do my journal entry tonight and I'm going to sign my pledge tonight. And yeah, because I think I did. Yeah, because I did a journal entry already just based on reading the opening chapter, but I didn't do my journal entry yet for day one because I wanted to talk to you guys about it. And plus I had a full day. So I literally just stopped working before I started this live stream. So it's been back to back for me. But nonetheless, we're going to get into this work. I'm super excited that you guys are here. I hope that you found some value and are excited about some of the work that we're going to be doing. I plan to be transparent with you all, and I just hope that whatever I share in our readings and our revelations will allow us to be able to grow together through this thing. I will say that one of the days I will be inviting us to do a live Zoom. So for some of you, we stream this on the YouTube channel. So if you're willing and you're open and you want to join me in the live stream, in the Zoom room, let me know. And I'll announce the date at first so that you guys can know. And then you can let me know. And that way I'll give you the link so that you can be in the room with me too. And maybe we can have some dialogue and discussion, depending on how open you are to sharing, because we will be live streaming on YouTube. But I think it'll be good to have some interaction and some human conversation while we discuss this, especially since we're doing it together. All right. So I see Q Scatter saying my purse was stolen before, so I don't do cash either. Yeah, it's no joke. It is no joke. And you feel so violated. You feel so violated. Like I feel so violated when somebody stole my credit card information and charged something on my card. I felt so violated. I said, how dare they? How dare they steal my information and buying stuff off of Amazon? I was highly upset. And then to get cash taken away, oh my gosh, it's hard. Shifting mindsets with Shawnee is saying, I'm faithful about the fast. I'm super excited, Shawnee, because I got my notification that my book is going to arrive Friday. So I'm super excited about that. And yes, I purchased my book from Shawnee before the fast started. Okay. So I haven't done any buying. So no buying as of tonight. So I'm starting my fast right now today. Okay. So I'm super excited about the book, but they said it's going to be coming on Friday. So yes. So I'm faithful about my fast is what Shifting Mindsets with Shawnee says. Sherry says, I'm excited. I feel the Lord wants me to learn how to manage my resources so he can give me the resources. And let me tell you something, Sherry, when you read the chapter, she says that. She talks about that. So when you read the Prosperity on Purpose and when you read chapter 1, you're going to get a conviction. You're going to get a conviction because that's exactly what she said. All right. Pledge signed, work in progress. Amen. All right. Good job, Coach Root. Tracy Ann, I'm kind of nervous, but I'm doing this with curiosity to see how it helps my spending and saving habits. I'm right there with you. I'm very curious. And that's why I wanted to do this and do this collectively, because I don't, even though I've had a lot of success on my financial journey, I don't believe that I know it all. There's always something that you can learn from. Like I'm already being challenged on using the plastic. So who knows what may happen after this challenge? I may go plastic free. Who knows? But we're going to see after 21 days after this fast. Okay. We're going to find out. Q Scott is saying, right, Sherry, to whom much is given, much is required. Can I get an amen? And Sherry is in agreement with you saying, yes, Q Scott. Oh, wow, really? Yes, really. Wait till you get it. You're going to get it. Lat is in the building. So good to see you. I went to open my money market account, but did a 12-month instead. Good. I think I read that right. Did a 12-month instead. Oh, it must be a cert. The 12 month. Okay, good. That's good. Good. So y'all already off to a good start. We're already going to be making sure that we're repurposing this money, and we're going to be doing what we need to do. Okay. Money markets aren't making any interest right now. Yes, that's true. So money markets aren't making interest now. So yes, it's very low. It is. It's very low because the rates dropped when the pandemic happened. So depending on who you bank with, depending on who you do your services with, you may be better off getting the CD, which is probably what you ended up doing for the 12 months. And they'll give you, and if they have promote, depending on who you bank with. So like, I think one of mine's just renewed and it's at 3%. So I'm getting 3% for mine. But that's a special and it's only up to a limited amount. And then there's other options, but yes, definitely the money market is not as much in terms of interest anymore because of, the rate drops. But if you can just shop around and just see what you can find, and that's what you're supposed to do. Shop around and see what you can find and see what benefits you. Because just having it in the money market, if it's not earning as much as it should be, then why, and if you don't plan to touch it anytime soon, then why just have it sitting there? Put it where you can get the maximum growth for sure. Okay. Yep. Good job. All right, you all. I'm super excited. We are wrapping up. For those of you who are just tuning in, we are talking about Michelle Singletary's 21-Day Financial Fast. That is the book that we are teaching from and that we will be going through for the entire month of February. Yes, it's 21 days and there are 28 days in February. However, I know that some folks have not received the book yet. And so we may have to incorporate some additional lag time or maybe catch up time so that folks can really be able to catch up on the work. But our intention and our goal is to be fully successful with completing the assignments in the book by the ending of the month. So we're aiming for 21, but if we need to, it'll be 28 days because I want us to do this together. And I want us to grow together. I want us to learn together. Michelle Singletary's 21-Day to Financial Fast. And let me go ahead and screenshot this real quick so that I can pull this up so y'all can see it. Because I know I have my background on, so it's hard to see. But this is the book that we're teaching from. If it opens, here we go. So the book that we're teaching from is Michelle Singletary's 21-Day Financial Fast. Come on, somebody. Here we go. Share screen. And then we will go ahead and call it a night because we've been on for quite some time. But for those of you who are tuning in on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the book cover. Michelle Singletary's 21-Day Financial Fast is the book that we will be teaching from, that we will be fasting through, that we will be utilizing to help us navigate. For those of you who are tuning in on the YouTube channel, learn together, grow together. Book cover, Michelle Singletary's 21-Day Financial Fast is the book that we will be teaching from, that we will be fasting through, that we will be utilizing. It's available to help us navigate. For those of you who are tuning in on the YouTube channel, learn together, grow together. Book cover, Michelle Singletary's 21-Day Financial Fast is the book that we will be teaching from, that we will be fasting through, that we will be utilizing. It's available to help us navigate. For those of you who are tuning in, that's funny how I'm like, wow. I haven't even been trained on none of this stuff. I haven't been exposed to any of this stuff, and I'm already teaching it and doing it. Can I get an amen? Lord trying to tell me something? I think so. All right. Well, you guys, as you all know, we are wrapping up for tonight, and I want to remind you guys that your financial prosperity awaits you. And so does your financial sanity. I got some more love in the chat. Y'all are saying it definitely challenges on all spectrums, including finances. Okay, let's go. So did you read the book already? Loving Christ? You might have. Great day one convo. Thank you so. You're so welcome, Tracy Ann. Sherry is saying, I agree, Tracy Ann. Acacia saying both on at the same time. Amen. Who else on at the same time? Is TG on? Okay. All right, y'all. We getting ready to wrap up. Thank you all. I want to remind you that your financial prosperity makes you, and so does your financial sanity. Make sure that you come back And look out on the community page for the next reading assignment, because we're going to be jumping into day 2. So focus on getting your work done for day 1 and begin your reading for day 2. You'll have all of tomorrow to work on day 2, but I want you to focus on getting your pledges done, your obstacles, identifying that, journaling through that, and then wrapping that up. All right, so cool. All right, so Love in Christ says she's listening to it. Okay, all right, so I think we're getting ready for a spiritual battle, a good one, a spiritual battle, the spiritual fixing. Okay, let's go. Thank y'all. Remember, y'all know what to do. Get to work. Bye. Battle, a good one, a spiritual battle, the spiritual fixing. Okay, let's go. Thank y'all. Remember,
with Sophia Melone, the Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone.
Battle, a good one, a spiritual battle, the spiritual fixing. Okay,
the Debt
let's go.
Demolisher
Thank y'all.
with Sophia Melone, the Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone.
Battle, a good one, a spiritual battle, the spiritual fixing. Okay,
the Debt
let's go.
Demolisher
Thank y'all.
with Sophia Melone, the Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone.
Battle, a good one, a spiritual battle, the spiritual